The best camera is the camera you have with you at the time. I used to be a wedding photographer for 7 years, and people always ask me, "Hey Mike, what's the best camera?" I always tell them it's the camera you have with you. It doesn't matter how good a camera is, if it's too big, bulky, or cumbersome, it's gonna get left at home. Unless I'm going for a work job, there's no way I'm lugging this monster around with me. Yeah, you always have your phone camera with you, but it can't even compare to the image quality of this. I can't tell you the last time I was so excited about a camera. This is the DJI Osmo Pocket. There's a ton of videos out there that talk about the specs and features of the Osmo Pocket, but after using this camera for the past week every day for both personal and work, this review is going to be based on real world use of the Osmo Pocket. And by the way, I bought this camera with my own money, so this is not a sponsored post or anything. If you haven't heard yet, the Osmo Pocket is a tiny 4K camera that uses a gimbal that stabilizes the camera head so you can get ultra smooth video. The gimbal on the Osmo Pocket is a 3-axis, meaning it'll stabilize the camera on this axis, turn axis, and the up and down axis. There are a lot of videos out there comparing the Osmo Pocket to cameras like the GoPro Hero 7 and bigger cameras. Huh? That doesn't even make sense. It's like comparing a spoon to a knife. They're not even the same camera. GoPros are designed to be small and mounted in weird places like on the nose of an airplane or strapped on a FPV racing quad. The Osmo is definitely not designed for that. If you're gonna compare the image quality of this 3/4 inch square camera with this monster, yes, you're gonna be disappointed. You gotta realize what the Osmo Pocket is. I'll just quickly go over the features of the Osmo Pocket. The Osmo Pocket is roughly the same size or same height as a iPhone 5 SE, and it only weighs 118 grams. It can shoot video up to 4K at 24, 30, 60 frames per second, and at 1080 it'll shoot 120 frames per second. It can do time-lapse and motion-lapse. It has a built-in gimbal that has 3 modes: tilt lock, follow, and FPV. It can track faces and objects. If used by itself, it'll shoot in full auto mode, but it can be connected to a phone where you can adjust everything manually. First, let's talk about the strengths of the DJI Osmo Pocket. Right now, I'm shooting on the Sony a7R II with a shotgun mic, lighting and everything. Get ready for a video change. Now we're shooting on the Osmo Pocket Video with a shotgun mic. And now it is all Osmo Pocket video and mic. Let's take it out in the field for some real world testing and see how this thing performs. Good morning.
Papa.
What I love about the Osmo Pocket is that it's so easy to use. To turn it on, you just push and hold this button, and then it'll go through the initiation process, and then push this button to select photo or video, and then push record. And then if your gimbal is like off position, you just double tap this to center it, and then to flip it around in selfie mode, you triple tap. And then to turn it off, you just push and hold the button. What I love about the Osmo is that it's so easy to use. I basically just pull it out of my pocket, turn it on, shoot whatever I need to shoot, turn it back off, put it in my pocket, and go. The gimbal on the Osmo has 3 modes. It's got tilt lock, follow, and FPV. Think of each mode as how much help it gets from the gimbal. Tilt lock has the most gimbal usage, follow is less, and then FPV is the least. So right now it is in tilt lock mode. So tilt lock, it basically locks the up and down axis, the horizon, but then if I turn the camera, it'll still follow left and right. Follow mode is like tilt lock mode, except it doesn't lock on the horizon. So if I move up and down, the camera will move up and down. Same thing with left and right. FPV mode is like follow mode, except with less gimbal. So if I move the camera, you can see it basically points every direction that I want it to point. It just uses the gimbal to kind of smooth out the image. In FPV mode, there's no face tracking or object tracking. The biggest strength of the Osmo is the size and all the features that they packed into this tiny camera. The Osmo Pocket is really well made. The body is made of some kind of hard plastic and the gimbal head is all metal. There's no need to worry about stripping gears or anything on the gimbal because it uses some kind of like electromagnetic motor for the gimbal, and even in FPV mode you can manually tilt the camera to adjust it. I use the FPV mode most of the time because I feel like the face tracking and object tracking is a little cumbersome to use, especially if you're trying to use the little touchscreen to adjust the gimbal up and down, especially if you're trying to film like a 1-year-old running around the room. The face tracking is a really good feature if you're just shooting like a one subject scene, like if you're just talking to the camera like this, but with more than one subject, the camera will track on one face and center that one face, and then the other person in that scene, it just looks like they're kind of photobombing your picture because they're like off to the side. It looks kind of weird. The Osmo Pocket has the ability to do motion time-lapse. With a normal setup like a DSLR, to do motion time-lapse, you need a lot of equipment. But the cool thing about the Osmo is that it's all built in this tiny little camera. I found the low light performance on the Osmo to be really good. I recently took this camera to my wife's company Christmas party and I was surprised at how well it handled the low light situations. Yeah, if you compare the noise level on a tiny camera like this to a monster like this, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. But just keep in mind, there is no way I would lug a monster like this to a social event. So I was happy to have the Osmo Pocket with me so I can get that footage. I basically just shot and then I just put it in my suit pocket and I didn't even notice it. It was so easy to use. Alright, we are on our way to BioWorld Christmas party. The only reason we are going is to win a prize, right?
Yes. Well, I kind of want to have some fun.
After we win a prize, we can have some fun.
Stay to the left, US 75 South.
So Christmassy.
Is the Osmo Pocket the perfect camera? Nah, there's no such thing. There are two major weaknesses with this camera: the focus and the audio. The audio on the Osmo Pocket is not great. It has a very tinny sound, and I think it has something to do with the internal processor, where it sounds like they turn up the noise reduction and turn up the loudness. It's not great, it's not horrible. For the normal everyday user, the audio is fine, but when compared to like a shotgun mic, the audio is bad compared to that. But then keep in mind that the shotgun mic alone is bigger than the Osmo Pocket. Once again, the best camera is the camera you have with you at the time. We're at the Perot Museum right now, and it's pretty dark and noisy in here, so we're gonna test the face tracking and see what the audio sounds like. The Osmo Pocket does do photos, but it's not great. The shutter lag is probably half second to 1 second, and the focus and exposure is hit or miss. This is primarily a video camera that can do photos, so don't buy this camera if you're looking for something for photos. Your iPhone will do a better job at taking photos than this. What makes the Osmo Pocket awesome is the size. Think about this. This is a 4K camera with a 3-axis gimbal that can shoot 4K in multiple formats, shoot videos, time-lapse, motion-lapse, tracks objects, tracks faces, and fits in your pocket for $350. That is insane. This is the perfect everyday camera that you can just slip in your pocket and document your life. It's the perfect camera for something like documenting your kids growing up, which is the main reason why I got this camera. Yeah, you can use a big camera for this and get great video, but it's so cumbersome, you won't always bring it. Not to mention that you pretty much have to set up every shot. When you're juggling diaper bags and food, bottles, car seats, and a squirming 1-year-old, big cameras like this often become low priority. With the right conditions, the Osmo can get stunning 4K video that can be used for work. If you're a parent like me looking for a camera to document your kid growing up, or a professional looking for something that'll get you great B-roll, motion time-lapse without carrying around a lot of equipment, you should definitely check out the DJI Osmo Pocket. Am I still happy with the Osmo? Definitely. Does it have its weaknesses? Yup. But at least it'll be the camera that I have with me at all times. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.